Hi, this is odeean. Today I've got SH Monsterarts Kiryu / Mechagodzilla from Tokyo SOS. Now, this is a slight retool and recolor of a previous toy that I've reviewed, and that's this original SH Monsterarts Kiryu. The main differences are a weapons pack. It's got a different weapons pack, but the main reason that I bought this redo is the color. I think the color is a little bit better. Just checking out the boxes here, they're about the same size. The new one's a little bit thicker, but you know, the profile's the same. This is a more sort of consumer friendly thing. You could see it if you're going to buy it in the shop. In Japan, I think this is a web exclusive. That's why they've gone with no see-through portion on the box. This box does look attractive as well, both pretty nice. Inside, it's all laid out in a nice plastic bubble. Everything has its place, and it looks so nice in there. Oh, God. There's an extra head, that's something new. The weapons pack, this is all new. Base figure, almost the same. Kind of that layout is an artwork in itself. I just like looking at my toys in the bubble, something cool about it. Here it is out of the bubble. You can see it's a well-balanced figure. If I rotate it like that, you can see he's standing on his own 2 feet without leaning on the tail. The tail doesn't come completely assembled. You have to pop this little section on out of the box. After that, it stays on pretty well. It's on a ball. Now, Kiryu has an exceptionally good tail. Out of all the Monsterarts, it's one of the best tail. It's got so many linkages. It's so poseable, like just unbelievably so. And the detail is incredibly rich. It's just a pleasure to look at. And one of the main draws of actually buying this figure is just the tail, how nice that is. Here we've got the 2 Kiryu standing next to each other. This guy is a really very nice gunmetal. It's got a sheen on it which just, it really accentuates the curvature of the sculpt, and it looks fantastic. I was never 100% sold on the silver that we got on the original, and I had guessed, I mean obviously they were going to do a retool because he had modifications from movie to movie. I thought that was pretty obvious that was going to happen, but just the color alone was a bit of a giveaway they'd do that. It's not all good though. This original version has die-cast panels here. If you touch these, they're very cold. This is the absolute zero cannon, which he had originally, and it was, I think the crystal was destroyed or burned out or something like that. So these panels that cover that up are nice die-cast. On the new guy, at least to my touch, they feel like plastic, which is a bit disappointing. It's an expensive figure. I don't understand why they couldn't have stuck with the die-cast. I think the die-cast felt better. I liked it more. Opening it up, you can see he doesn't have the absolute zero cannon. He's got a triple mazer in his chest. I don't feel that those mazers are done too well. I would have liked a little bit more detail on the dishes in there, maybe separate pieces. It is what it is. You can't complain too much. Externally, the toy's pretty good, but that is just a little bit weak, the lack of paint in there. Checking out the tails on each one, you can see that the new Kiryu has this more trident-like 3-pronged tail. It's a little bit longer as well, I think. Not by much, but the old one, it could be representing the same tail just closed. It's hard to tell, but it's definitely not out in this configuration. The sculpt for the head on these two is essentially the same. I'm looking for differences there. I don't really see it. It may look like the hose is not right on this side of his head, but that's just how I've got it positioned. It didn't go in right. On this one, it's straight out of the box, so it's set up correctly in the first place. You know, we've got a mold difference on the shoulder here. He's got a new shoulder piece, and that carries all the way through. If you look at the forearm, this forearm on the new Kiryu is a kind of turbine, and that is because he has a transforming hand now. So basically this fist is not the same as his original fist, which you can see on the other side. And the idea is that you should be able to pull that off and replace it with this deadly looking instrument, which is supposed to represent his fingers transformed into a spinning drill. And you can imagine this turbine spinning that around here and him jabbing that right into Godzilla and doing some serious damage. It looks nice. I like it. I think it's done pretty well. I like that they have put a little bit of paint in there, so unlike the chest, the detail pops just a little bit more. There's even some kind of wash in the grooves of that turbine, and I think that's pretty effective. Down on the feet, it feels like we still have die cast. So I do feel a little bit of coolness there on the toes. So it's not totally without die-cast. I'm guessing that the tooling for the front has changed a little bit. Like this section here compared to the first one, there's more ribbing here. And maybe because they changed that detail, it was just cost prohibitive to change the die-cast mold, so they had to do it in plastic. I think that it doesn't represent bad intention, and that's kind of proved by the continuation of the die-cast down here. It just represents practicality. Now I'm going to start adding the weapons on. I've already done it on this side. To do that, you need to pull out this tiny little bitty piece, and everyone's going to tell you this is annoying. It is. You drop it, get over it. Let's put it over there. Plug the hose in. That's very loose. I wish that was a little bit tighter. This whole arm assembly is actually pretty loose. It's got a very shallow peg. It just pegs on like that. It looks okay, but in handling it can come off a little bit too easily. You know, it's hard to say. These toys are kind of meant to be played with. These are not just display pieces. They're very play friendly, but these weapons do become annoying when you play with them and just go all over the place. Now the heavy weapons pack. To do that, we need to remove this spine and grab the pack. You can see that there's a molded in spine here. That should be the same thing. It just goes in the same spot. So we're going to line it up. I think, am I doing it right? No, up the other way. And it will go into the same slot where that one was and just lock in. Now you can bend these down and that gives him extra flight power. You can see these booster rockets at the back here look very similar to the ones underneath. If I flip that up, you can see there's the old style one and there's the new one at the back. So he's got much greater flying capacity. I also think that the added reason that they're in there is that this is supposed to disconnect. And I mean, they've both come off. I didn't mean to do them both, but they do both come off. In the show, these actually launch. Once they've expended their payload through these rocket launchers at the side, and I think these flip open at the top. Once all that's come out, you can actually shoot the whole thing off as a weapon. So we do get that feature, which is pretty cool. I like that. Just comparing the old style weapons pack with the new one. My personal preference is with the blue one. I like this one. I like it. What can I say? I know this has got more details and features, but I just always liked the way the blue one looks. But as a whole, the coloration, the major cores, I do like the new version. Let's actually, you know what? I wonder if it's interchangeable. Now, it may be. There's some extra spikes here. And that's a bit... I don't want to break it, but it surprises me that these are stuck in there. Like on the previous version, they can come out. And you know what? I think that they still could come out, but they just feel like they've been glued in there. So if you were willing to push it hard enough, I'm pretty sure you could pop these spikes out. I think I can see the seam where they've been stuck in there. So they're glued now. I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to do that yet, but I would really like to be able to get this weapons pack on this Godzilla because I kind of like the coloration of this, but that weapon is pretty cool. The final thing we get in the box is the alternate head, which I briefly mentioned before. Opening it up, he's got the same cool details in the mouth, and look at those teeth. They're really painted, individually picked out one by one. It's just a perfect paint job. It's really phenomenal. Nice little mazes in there. His eye, nice and detailed. It's got the lines on it, just like the standard version on the other one. When you get to this side, you can see battle damage. So he's got some big gouge taken out of his face. That looks really cool. I like that. I do prefer to display my stuff with the kind of pristine head, but I can imagine if you were taking a series of battle photos or whatnot, this would be pretty awesome to have. It's not the first spare head we've got. I think Rodan came with a spare head for the other Mechagodzilla, the Mechagodzilla that I don't like, but this is still nice nonetheless. Here's a comparison with Mogura, probably the most die-cast. Just listen to that. He's really weighed down. He's not a fantastic toy, to be honest. He tends to, his back section falls off a bit. I really like it. The accessories are fantastic. I definitely wouldn't be without it, but I think this guy shows his age a little bit. I think that the gunmetal on this pulls off the metallic look at scale, even better than Mogura does. Although Mogura is still better than the first Kiryu as far as the coloration, as far as I'm concerned. That, like this, it just looks a bit too much like someone took a can of silver spray paint to the toy. That's the way I feel about it. It's too toy-like, not realistic enough. And here's a comparison with the Chogokin, the shiny Chogokin version of Kiryu. And the older this thing gets, the more rigid its pose becomes. He looks like a robot just standing there, straight up and down. Whereas the new SH Monsterarts definitely has the ability to pose in a naturalistic way, which just looks better on the shelf. Now, I like shininess. I like this shiny. I know it's not really representative of the movie. He never looked that shiny, but there's just something about that awesome shininess. I still really like this figure and wouldn't be without it. I wouldn't be against buying some other characters done nice and shiny like that. I don't know, it's pretty cool. He is one heavy toy too, tons of metal in there, much more than any SH Monsterarts ever had, but that's why it's a Chogokin. I mean, close up, the faces are pretty similar. I mean, it is based on the same source material, but if you look at areas like the teeth on this are just one solid white blob, whereas Kiryu here from Monsterarts, it's detail by detail picked out. Every individual tooth is individually painted, and that's something I think they just weren't capable of all those years ago. My final thoughts: is this a good toy? Definitely. Is it expensive? Shit, yeah, more than $100. By the time I got it in hand, I think probably $150 for me. That's expensive for the size of this. Is it justified? I think it is. There's so much detail and individual pieces in here that had to be, picked out one by one and made separately. I can see where the money went. I don't think it's worth buying two. If you never bought the original Kiryu, just go with this one. It's better. Paint looks good. You can probably live without this weapons pack. I like the weapons pack, but when we're talking about $120 just to get that add-on, I think that this one is just fine. You don't need to get both. Don't regret it if you got both. I think they're both cool. I'm happy to have both. I would like it less if they cheaped out and made the tail all fused together in just a couple of pieces, and just to save $20. I think the tail is really one of the strong points, and I like to get quality, and that's kind of what you have to pay for. It is worth it. I like it. Go out and get it. That's it. I'm odeean. Thanks for watching.